There was one huge hanging plot thread left open at the end of Avengers Endgame, and it's how in the world did Captain America return all the Infinity Stones? It's a mystery that we fans are going to be wondering about for a long time, because most likely we're never going to get an answer. But today's What If question will present you with the perfect scenario that not only would allow us to see how the Infinity Stones are returned, but also highlight two characters who need substantial character development. So I ask you today, what if Bucky and Falcon returned the Infinity Stones instead of Captain America? And that was the basis for their Disney Plus TV show. Want to see how that would work? Let's get into it right now. Alright, first and foremost, we need to establish some ground rules here. And the important thing is to answer the big question of why Bucky and Falcon go in the first place. I mean, besides it being the basis for an awesome Disney Plus TV show, what would be an actual reason these two would volunteer to go back? Well, first we gotta deal with Captain America. He's the one who went back originally and was overall the best pick. So what would happen that would make him unable to go back? Our channel just put out another video about what if Captain America became Thor and discussed the possibility of Captain America gaining the power of Thor after the original God of Thunder's possible demise in Endgame. This means Cap has to stick around in our timeline in order to fulfill his new duties. So let's go with that. That allows Cap to survive and gets Mjolnir out of the way because Cap originally had to return that too. But now, through some cosmic balance of finding a new Thor, he can keep the hammer in the present without causing a rip in the time-space continuum. Is it a perfect explanation? No, of course there are holes, but come on, it makes for a better story because now it's just the Infinity Stones that have to be returned. So who's up for this dangerous task? For those that don't remember, the goal is to return the stones to the exact moment they were taken in order to keep the universe intact. So they'll need someone well-trained, sneaky, and able to follow orders. And after Endgame, who's really left? Hawkeye is never going to leave his family farm again, so cross him out. The Hulk's injured, Scarlet Witch is busy searching eBay for spare Vision parts, Captain Marvel is too important to the entire universe to risk going back, Spider-Man has to study for a chemistry final, Black Panther has a kingdom to run, Ant-Man and Wasp are probably busy dealing with quantum realm stuff, Nebula already messed up the timeline once by going back, so she can't risk it. I could ask the Guardians of the Galaxy to go. Sorry, I couldn't say that with a straight face, because that is the literal worst option for this important mission. That basically leaves 4 actual viable options: Doctor Strange, War Machine, Bucky, and Falcon. Doctor Strange would actually be a good choice, but let's say his magic aura going back to different time periods would screw everything up, and let's say War Machine is now too high ranking in the military to go back. Alright, that just leaves Bucky and Sam Wilson. And these two are actually the perfect ones to go. Both characters are in drastic need of more character development. It's why they're getting their own show in the first place. Endgame ended with Steve giving the shield to Sam, which also has caused a lot of controversy. But with Bucky and Falcon going back in time to return the stones, the whole driving plot of the show could now be an inner battle with the two of them to see who is more worthy of picking up the shield. And that's why both men would volunteer for this mission, because they want to prove they have what it takes to be the next Captain America. Bucky has a whole shady past that he's desperately looking for redemption for, so he jumps at the chance to atone for his past sins. Falcon has always been in Cap's shadow, and now with Cap gone, he wants to prove to the world and to himself he has what it takes to pick up that shield. So both of them have great reason to go, and we as the audience want to see the stones returned, and putting it in a TV show format is just perfect. So what would this actually look like in terms of a Disney Plus show? Well, there are 6 stones, so let's have it be 1 episode for each stone. The first episode would be about the Soul Stone, because let's just say it's easiest to work your way backwards in time. So the Soul Stone would be first up. A bulk of the episode would actually have to be set up, with probably half being about establishing the mission, having Falcon and Bucky volunteer and butt heads a little since both of them want to be the new Captain America. Bucky wants it because he wants to erase who he was. Falcon wants it to prove he's not just a sidekick. They'd love to talk to Captain America about it, but he's off-world now, being Thor, so the two are hurtled back in time to Vormir 2014, where Natasha had just sacrificed herself to give Clint the Soul Stone. But now here's the complication: Red Skull. So after Infinity War came out, the Russos confirmed that after Thanos got the Soul Stone, it meant that Red Skull was now free to do whatever he wanted. So technically the same would be true in Endgame. When Hawkeye got the stone, it freed Red Skull. Now imagine being freed after a perceived eternity of guarding some stupid rock. You're gonna be pretty excited. Then imagine just a few moments after you're free, a former brainwashed metal arm assassin and a guy with wings suddenly appear to say, "Psych!" Yeah, Red Skull is going to be upset. And now it's too late. He's already been freed and isn't just going to go back to being what he was. Cue the first big fight scene between a ghostly Red Skull versus Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Because this is the first episode, both men don't work together well. They're both independent, which leads to mistakes. Though they do manage to pull off a victory and vanquish Red Skull, it's clear they have issues. Episode 2 would be the Power Stone, and we know from Endgame that it was retrieved at the same time as the Soul Stone. Now this is the episode where things start to get crazy and the dangers of time travel are fully explored, because the goal is to return them from the exact time they were taken, which means Nebula and Rhodey's original appearance still caused 2014's Thanos to know where the Power Stone was, and he was heading straight to Murag. When they get there, they see our Nebula get taken by Thanos and have to make the difficult decision to not do anything. If they mess things up here, then it might affect their future selves' victory, but there is someone they actually can save. 2014, it's Peter Quill. Nebula and Rhodey knocked him out to get the stone, and that puts him in danger from Korath, who is still on the planet unaware that Thanos just swooped in to capture Nebula. So even though Falcon and Bucky return the Power Stone to its right place, by keeping it there, they would allow it to get into Ronin's hands, which would be devastating. So they spend the rest of the episode traveling with 2014 Peter Quill as they teach him the value of being a hero, fighting off Ronin's forces, and finding a safe spot for the stone. Next up is the Reality Stone, where they travel back in time to Asgard in order to re-implant the stone into Jane Foster. But you know who notices them immediately upon arrival? Heimdall. That's right, on a show about underserved characters, why not bring back the Thor franchise's most underused asset and devote an episode to Heimdall that gives him a proper send-off? This one doesn't necessarily have to be an action-packed episode, but rather it can be used to flesh out Heimdall and Asgard, because we're never going to see those again. But this episode can do something else cool in actually teasing the Jane we're going to see in Thor Love and Thunder. What if the Jane from the upcoming Thor sequel is actually this timeline's Jane, and through some unknown circumstances has to travel to our time later? Sure, that's not entirely necessary, but it would just be a nice connective tissue. And this is the episode where Falcon and Winter Soldier both start to realize they're not so different and need to start working together more. A true team-building episode. Next up is the two-part episode. It's the Time Stone and the Mind Stone, as both were retrieved from 2012. Sure, the Space Stone was technically taken from this time period as well, with Loki using it to jump through time, but I'll let the Loki show deal with that fallout. First is the Time Stone. You would think this should be pretty straightforward. With the moment Hulk disappears with the stone, the Ancient One turns to find Falcon and Winter Soldier there with the stone on a silver platter. But it can't be that easy. Remember, this was right during the highlight of Loki's invasion, so before they get to the Ancient One, they have to fight off some Chitauri aliens and rescue some trapped civilians, because why not? But the Mind Stone episode would be the really interesting one, because it could have cameo appearances from all of our big heroes. Remember how the Avengers left things? They just sent Tony into cardiac arrest, Loki escaped with the Space Stone, and Loki's scepter was just stolen by someone who looked like Captain America. So things are on high alert. When they try to return it, they're captured by S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and placed into custody, but one person is able to get them out: Captain America. Remember in Endgame when Steve was fighting himself? The way he was able to beat 2012 Cap was to tell him Bucky was still alive, and then boom, Bucky just shows up a few minutes later to give back Loki's scepter? Obviously, Cap has some questions, and it ends with Steve breaking Winter Soldier and Falcon out so that they can complete their mission. Action-wise, it's awesome, but the real emotional meat of this story comes from the conversation they get to have with Captain America. This whole series has been about both Falcon and Winter Soldier filling Cap's shoes, but once they talk directly to him, he helps them realize that they need to be their own heroes. Which brings us to the final episode, the Space Stone, which sees Falcon and Winter Soldier go back to the 70s to put back the final rock. But here's the final complication. Bucky has always had a fractured mind. He's been brainwashed for so long, his brain probably looks like melted ice cream. Their final jump back to the past scrambles Bucky's brain, and after 5 episodes of learning to forgive himself and move on, everything is threatened when he reverts back to his brainwashed self. It's only through his sheer willpower, along with Falcon's encouragement and assistance, that Bucky is able to snap out of it and they complete the mission. Boom! Then they get to go back to the present where Falcon gets to become Captain America, and Bucky actually chooses to forge a new path for himself under a new hero identity. So that's the show. Yes, there are a few holes, but overall, following Bucky and Falcon back in time as they return the Infinity Stones would make for an epic television show that not only solves one of the MCU's biggest mysteries by revisiting some of our favorite places, but also gives us more insight into two great supporting characters that need a strong story. Yes, maybe one day we could see a movie about Captain America's journey to return the stones, but really, making it an actual television show is the better way to go in order to fully take advantage of the rich story it can tell. Don't you think? Well, that's a wrap. Do you think watching Bucky and Falcon return the stones would make a good Disney Plus TV show? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to tell us what other what-if scenarios you want to see next. Thanks for watching CBR. See you next time.